Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley.
I'm Mika.
Hope you guys are enjoying your holidays.
Yay!
As you know, 2017 just about coming to an end, and there was no way we could have foreseen all the developments that happened throughout all of gaming. But back in 2016, when we were young and fresh, more naive, optimistic, and Mass Effect Andromeda was still something to look forward to.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ouch.
We did try and make some predictions.
Yeah, but now that all of that's behind us, we thought we'd take a look back at the predictions we made back in 2016 about this past year, just to see how right and how very, very wrong we were about what happened. So you'll know whether or not you should listen to us for the next edition.
It comes out to So first up was one of the biggest calamities that landed right at the end of the calendar year last year, No Man's Sky. Its crash and burn was monumental to witness in real time. We had some thoughts about the game's future for 2017.
We predicted that dropping a multiplayer update would be one way for Sean Murray and company to fix things for the game, while also sort of calling that their communication needed to improve, but probably wouldn't.
And wow, we were actually kind of right about both of those things.
Yeah.
In terms of updates to the game, No Man's Sky actually saw a couple of pretty substantial content drops. First, there was the March Pathfinder update. That one brought land vehicles, the ability to own freighters, as well as a permadeath mode.
In August, they hit users with yet another massive update, the 1.3 Atlas Rises update, which did bring a 16-player multiplayer sorta thing.
Kind of. It was kind of.
Kinda, because you could just see other people as little floating clouds that couldn't really interact with anything. But you know what? At least other players were finally there.
Sort of.
Ish. Atlas Rises also added 30 new hours of story to the game.
And as before, there's basically been zero communication from Hello Games in between those big updates, and their social media still dark as ever. As for the game's player base, it improved. I mean, it still averages maybe 900 players a day or in that area, but it was up to around 5,000 when the Atlas update dropped.
So yeah, that number's about where the game was at the time last year. So the game did continue updating and adding multiplayer, just as we said, with zero communication, but it didn't really bring that many players back.
At least not on a long-term basis.
No, they've just moved on because the damage was just too far gone in that initial launch and their hearts were broken.
Or they ran out of stuff to do. That happens too. A lot of people came back, there was new content, they played through it, they left again.
Yeah.
So we'll see, we were maybe 1.5 out of 2 on those predictions.
Next up on our list is Call of Duty. After Infinite Warfare got a less than stellar reception, we predicted a couple of things for the franchise in 2017. First, we said that it'd go back to the past, although we were predicting something closer to the Vietnam War era given some of the rumors surrounding the game.
Although that may be Bad Company 3 now. So we were half right on that front. It did go to the past, but what ended up happening is Call of Duty World War II. And it was a massive return to form for the series, not only in its content, but also its sales. Activision has been celebrating its release with an announcement shortly after its launch that it had moved $500 million in sales in its first weekend alone.
And according to GameStop, it's selling more than 60% higher than Infinite Warfare did at retail.
That's a good comeback.
Yeah, which has been borne out by other data points from different territories, so yeah, people were very quick to come back to the boots on the ground franchise after it changed things up from these sci-fi settings.
So that gives us 1 out of 2 for Call of Duty predictions. Now, on to our 2017 predictions we made about the Nintendo Switch. At the time, no one knew whether or not the system was going to be a hit or a flop. It wasn't technically even fully revealed at that point. That didn't come until January. We didn't know if its rumored lower power specs would matter in the long run.
And it looks like, yeah, that didn't matter at all.
Nope.
The Switch has moved over 10 million units globally last we heard, and that was before the holiday season. And apparently, it's single-handedly responsible for revitalizing hardware sales across the industry.
Now, as for our predictions, well, we actually wouldn't commit to it being a flop or a huge success since it hadn't been unveiled yet, but we did call that its focus was probably going to be on the portable side and that it was only a matter of time before it started to cannibalize the 3DS.
The second hasn't quite happened just yet.
Yet. I still think that's coming.
Emphasis on the yet, but we'll still give ourselves credit for this one.
Yes, we will.
Part of the reason the console is selling so well, according to analysts, is that consumers see it as a handheld more than they see it as a console. And judging by some recent statements from Nintendo President Kimishima, Nintendo is going to start leaning into that idea even more in the coming year.
Yeah, so we're 1 for 1 with Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, yes! The next topic we tackled in our predictions for this year was that of game delays. The end of 2016 saw some massive delays in 2017, and yeah, that trend just kept on going.
Well, I mean, it's the trend every year. It's a pretty safe trend. We speculated that a number of games would be delayed again, with some of them even missing this calendar year. For instance, Gran Turismo Sport, which actually made the cut and landed this fall. So, -1 on that call.
Dang it. However, we were right about the rest of them. We said that we thought Days Gone wouldn't actually make it in 2017.
Nope.
Neither would Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm not
Kingdom
bitter.
Hearts 3 is a myth.
Yeah, there was some worry a year ago that Mass Effect Andromeda wouldn't quite make its Q1 date, but unfortunately, it did come out on time like we thought it would, despite apparently needing a lot more time in the cooker.
I wonder what length of delay they would have needed to really shore up the weaknesses in that game.
14 years.
Let's not go there. But if it had missed into 2018, I wonder what game we would have actually gotten.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're 3 for 4 on our game delay predictions.
We also talked a little bit about Microsoft at the end of their last year because of their launch of the Xbox One X, then known as Project Scorpio. There was a thing to keep an eye on in 2017. The big question at the time was whether or not the Xbox brand was poised for a comeback after a disappointing 2016.
Now, obviously, the gap in sales between Xbox One and PS4 was always going to be too great for Microsoft to overcome completely, but we did predict they would start to recover their momentum on the console front. We also said it didn't look like they had enough exclusives in 2017, and well, that turned out to be more right than we could have even guessed at the time, since State of Decay 2, Sea of Thieves, Crackdown 3 all fall out of 2017, and Scalebound, well, RIP.
Yeah, but at least they snagged PUBG.
And Cuphead was great.
Yes, despite all of that, the Xbox One X launch was a huge upswing for Microsoft. So far, the console has been selling very well in just about every territory except Japan.
Which is not a huge surprise.
Right, we don't have hard numbers just yet, but we do know that GameStop has moved through its stock and that the console has been sold out at most retailers.
One thing that hasn't been sold out though, well, just about any kind of VR headset you can imagine.
Whoops!
Yeah, last year we talked about whether or not the VR platform would find its footing in 2017. This was largely driven by Ryan and Gus and Adam, I just want to point that out. But this is where we were pretty far off.
For one, we predicted we'd start to see more AAA VR titles, especially on PlayStation VR. And besides Resident Evil 7, which came out in January, and Star Trek Bridge Crew, I guess.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like AAA, maybe
Ish.
not, but it is one of the cooler experiences.
Yeah, other than those, it hasn't really been the case at all. In fact, Sony has been almost totally silent about VR since the launch of that game. We've got some ports now like Fallout 4 and Skyrim, but not AAA development specifically for VR that we were hoping for at a larger scale.
And they've still managed to move a lot of units. They announced recently that they'd sold 2 million PSVR headsets, so people want to play something, it just hasn't come this year. We also predicted we'd see more types of VR social experiences by the end of the year, and well, really, that's where we figured VR would start to take off and appeal to a mainstream audience, but yeah, none of that went down at all. We're gonna have to wait longer for the Oasis.
Yeah, VR is still unfortunately struggling as a medium. Both Oculus Rift and Vive have been subject to some pretty major price cuts, more so the former than the latter, and there hasn't been a killer app or even one on the horizon in the near future.
However, it did start to pick up some steam towards the end of the year thanks to things like lower prices and holiday sales. PSVR was finally the first headset to break the million-figure mark, which is a big deal. Still, it looks like everyone's got a much longer road ahead than we initially thought.
So we're a solid 0 for 2 on the VR predictions.
Yeah, look, we were so optimistic and naive.
But you know what? So was everybody else.
That's a comfort.
And in total, we landed a score of 10 out of 14 because we were just too damn optimistic about VR when it came to our 2017 predictions.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have been that far off. But
Right.
and of course, there's probably a little bit of wiggle room in there. Some of you will no doubt argue about, with us in the comments about whether some things deserve a higher score or a lower score, and that's cool. Let us know what you think or what you predicted that you got right or wrong about the year.
What do you guys think of all these topics that we made predictions about last year? How would you grade our efforts? Let us know in the comments.
And for more year-end recaps and to see some of our predictions for next year, make sure you like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the know. Remember, we're not actually here in the holidays.
No.
I mean, we'll be, reading the comments and everything because I can't not read comments. But we're on break. So we'll be back to regular news when the new year starts.
I'm probably playing video games right now.